GM, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is Thursday, the 14th of November, and let's get straight into it. And we've seen Bitcoin push on and make another new all-time high yesterday off the back of the CPI data that came in. So CPI came in line with expectations. Yes, inflation had gone up slightly, but of course the market was expecting inflation to have gone up slightly. So that was already factored into the market. So I think we probably had some pre-CPI jitters the day before, obviously seen our first daily red candle in a number of days. And that was likely traders getting a little bit nervous that CPI could come in higher than the expectation. But yesterday, we found out that wasn't the case, and obviously the markets then started to go risk on again off the back of that news. So where we are right now with Bitcoin, obviously I'll just go back sort of down to a 4 hour chart. We can see we kind of had the pump off the back of the news. It looked like we'd broken out. We got a 4 hour close up above the sort of 90K level, which was really the level we needed to get through to break us out. And then what we saw was a move back down, and it actually looked like this had therefore been a false breakout, but then we actually reversed and continued higher. So this is one of those situations where it's like a false breakout. The market breaks out, it comes back down, it looks like it's a false breakout, and then actually the price gets reaccumulated, and then we start to then push on, and we actually see the full breakout occurring. So right now it looks like Bitcoin is trying to break out. If you ignore what happened yesterday and these two candles, then you can see that just based on our previous breakout level just above 90,000, Bitcoin is now starting to close consecutive 4 hour candles above that level. So this is obviously in the short term bullish, because it shows we have the momentum now to sort of grind through this level and get above what is fairly key resistance here. I wouldn't say we're off to the moon just yet. Obviously, there's a little bit of work to do. Bitcoin needs to keep closing above 91,000. But I think there's a fairly good chance we could run a little bit higher here. Will we get to the target of 102,000 potentially over the next day or two? Who knows? I mean, volatility is high. Bitcoin is very explosive at the moment. Obviously, there seems to be just an endless bid that is coming into the Bitcoin market, obviously off the back of all of the news around Trump policy and Bitcoin strategic reserves. The market's just lapping it up. So do we push on a bit higher? Yes, I think we may well do. That looks to be fairly likely right now. And as we've been talking about over the last few days, the break above this sort of 88 to 90K area should then lead us up to our next target, which is coming in at 102,000. This is 1.618 from the last cycle high to low. So that is what I'm expecting for Bitcoin at the moment. That being said, that's obviously if we push on higher. That being said, if we actually just look at the 4 hour, we have printed some bearish divergence. So we've seen a higher high in price. However, we've seen a higher low in the RSI indicator. So this is a slight cause for concern. So this is one factor that is making me just a little bit hesitant on saying, yes, we're definitely going to 100,000 tomorrow or even today. And also, we're on a Tom DeMark daily 9. So this is the Tom DeMark sequential indicator. This is more of a measure of time as opposed to price. So we can see after 9 days of uptrend, we then print what is a 9 topping candle. And often this can lead to either some sort of consolidation or some sort of pullback in price. So if we just kind of look back on the chart, the last time we had one was back here on the 19th of October, and Bitcoin had rallied up, the 9 printed, and we saw some consolidation, bit of a pullback, and then we went again. So obviously the one we had before that was back here, and we actually saw a little bit more continuation before getting a pullback. So it just kind of says it's another thing we can look at to sort of show that, okay, things are starting to get, potentially a little bit overheated here. We've got the RSI, we've got the Tom DeMark 9 sequential, we've got volume, which is sort of showing a little bit of negative divergence as well, coming in a little bit lighter than we saw sort of back at the start of this move. So, yeah, it could be that we're in for maybe not a deep pullback, but some sort of consolidation. And in terms of just if that were to happen, looking at things like pullback targets, we've obviously got the low here around 85,000. So I'm actually just going to draw some of these levels onto the chart right now as I'm speaking to you. Let's get some horizontals up. So we've got this low here, sort of 85,000. And then from there, I'd say we've got the start of this candle, which is going to be an inefficiency gap. So obviously this candle here, this breakout candle after the weekend, there's going to be a lot of inefficiency created at the start of that candle. And it could be that the market comes back down to retest that. So I'd say at the moment, if we were to pull back, I would be looking for either 85K to hold, maybe a little wick low, and then we resume the uptrend, or I'd be looking for a slightly deeper pullback to around the 80K level. And just from current price, we can see that would be around about sort of 11-12% pullback. So I'm not expecting a sort of larger pullback than that, but they are some targets to be mindful of if we do start to show some weakness and start to break down from this level. But I still think that over the next couple of months and into the end of the year, Bitcoin will see higher prices. We will challenge that 100K number. I think that is coming. It's really just a case of the path to get there. Do we sort of go sideways for a few days or a week and consolidate here, some sort of bullish consolidation, and then start to go? I think on sort of 4-hour time frame, we can see we started to make a little bit of we'd made a little bit of a bullish sort of ascending triangle here. And then we've kind of got the breakout of that, like the retest and continuation. So, do we make some sort of other sort of bull flag or sort of bullish consolidation pattern before then sort of going up to higher prices, or do we start to just take off now? So obviously all eyes on price action today to see what it does. But I think at the moment, it looks like Bitcoin does want to test a little bit higher, maybe coming up and retesting yesterday's high. And then we'll have to see whether price either pushes on from there or rejects from there. But yeah, if we do start to roll over and cool off a bit more, these would be the levels that I would be watching. Just moving over to Ethereum, we can see that Ethereum is also consolidating and starting to pull back. So it looked like it was gaining some ground on Bitcoin and looked to be in a period where it could be catching up and outperforming. But obviously over the last couple of days, we've seen Ethereum start to pull back a bit more. So Ethereum is currently about 8% off its highs. Compare that to Bitcoin, that is obviously a lot closer to its highs. I mean, from the highs yesterday, it's down only about 3%. So Bitcoin about 5% stronger off the pullback, which is still showing Bitcoin as being relatively strong to ETH. If we look at Solana as well, we can see Solana again. It's looking a little bit stronger than Ethereum is. It came back down. It retested the $200 level and it's starting to bounce. So feels like Solana is strong and obviously Bitcoin strong. So it feels like Bitcoin and Solana for now are still proving to be the strongest two majors. Obviously yesterday we also looked at Pepe. So I like to think that we timed the Pepe analysis fairly well because we spoke about this breakout from this descending trend line. And Pepe, yesterday, it was confirmed that they now have listings on Robinhood and also on Coinbase. So really bullish news for Pepe here. And obviously, price when the news came out, it just absolutely erupted. I think we were around about this level when we did the video yesterday. We were talking about potentially this area, these highs holding up as a form of support. So we're essentially saying that price could hold above this support level, and absolutely that's what it did. And then the news came out about the Robinhood listing first, and then the Coinbase listing, and price completely took off. And those are most definitely new all-time highs for Pepe. So yes, we are on a Tom DeMark daily 9 as well here. So again, it looks like there are reasons for the market to potentially consolidate and pull back a bit here. Obviously, this is a big extension. So yes, it could be that if Pepe were to pull back initially, we'd be looking for a retest of the previous all-time high around about the 1716 area. If we come into that, that is potentially going to be an area where people are going to look to bid. Obviously, it sort of fills this massive inefficiency here, about 50% of that as well. So that would be a level I'd be looking at on Pepe. And just running through some of the other traditional markets. So the dollar has looked very strong. We spoke yesterday about the dollar sort of breaking this swing high. We've now broken this swing high as well. So dollar is strong. And again, I will just sort of maintain the view that really with the dollar, I mean, it's not affecting Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin's been rallying, the dollar's been rallying. At some point, this might start to sort of put a bit of pressure on crypto and the stock market, and potentially this is a factor when it comes to Bitcoin pulling back. But then you say to yourself, well, if the price of the dollar does sort of find some resistance around here at these swing highs and then start to sort of roll back over, that could be a nice catalyst for Bitcoin then taking another leg up. And how realistic is it that Bitcoin crosses 100,000 with the dollar pumping? Like I say, you prefer to see the dollar rolling over and showing some weakness, which would probably help catapult Bitcoin above that $100,000 mark. So I do think the dollar is worth keeping an eye on. And like I say, at the moment, it's probably putting crypto and the stocks under a little bit of pressure, even though that's not been shown. But obviously, when this does roll over, it should be a nice catalyst for risk on again. And we can see stocks, so the Nasdaq consolidating, the S&P also consolidating around all-time highs. So potentially, these could be waiting for the dollar to maybe show some weakness to then sort of push on higher. Again, that correlation definitely exists, the negative correlation between those assets. So obviously worth mentioning that. But let's just go back to Bitcoin then and summarize today. So Bitcoin currently working on breaking out above the 90,000 level. A few things to be concerned about is this Tom DeMark daily 9. Obviously, the RSI on the 4-hour starting to print some bearish divergence. So we will keep our eyes and ears peeled on what happens today. Initial pullback targets will be back down to the 85K, and if that fails, down to around about 80. But yes, in my personal opinion, we are likely to probably try another push higher. That push higher will probably come at the US Open, as we've seen this trend emerging over the last couple of weeks with the ETFs being open and then Bitcoin just really starting to pump after 2:30 here GMT time. So yes, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. I have been talking a lot about meme coins as well, and obviously there's a couple of videos that if you haven't yet watched, please do check out. I am going to be releasing my next meme coin video later today. It's going to be on Solana meme coins, so Definitely subscribe to the channel if not done so already, because you're not going to want to miss out on that one. And I will talk to you all later on. Have a great day, everybody. GM.